South Carolina Supreme Court recently upheld the Fetal Heartbeat and Protection from Abortion Act. The law, in most cases, prohibits abortion once a baby's heartbeat is detected, typically around 6 weeks. In its ruling, the justices said there is no constitutional right to an abortion. The court previously struck down a nearly identical version of the bill in January. And here to analyze the importance of the court's decision is Reverend Dean Nelson from Human Coalition. Reverend Nelson, great to be with you today. Let's talk more about this ruling in South Carolina and its significance for the pro-life movement.
Yes, well, we're grateful to be on to talk a little bit about it. You're right. There was an original version from 2021 that the state Supreme Court in South Carolina struck down. Then there was a vacancy on the court. Someone was replaced. They tweaked the law just a little bit, and it passed. We were grateful for Governor McMaster, who signed it into law. And then this current court affirmed that the state can place those kinds of restrictions. So we're grateful for the new justices that were able to help affirm that law, and grateful that now if a child's heartbeat is detected, that child will be protected.
Yeah, and how significant do you think that is that they upheld this? And what does it mean for the pro-life movement?
Well, it's huge. I mean, we have seen multiple states that have done similar things where not only are they protecting children with restrictions on abortion, but they also did a few other things where they this bill protects or affirms fathers to biological fathers to pay child support, and it also did, as some states have done too, affirm that a woman who participates with an abortion should not be prosecuted, and that's something that Human Coalition has always affirmed. Our mission has always been to protect children, but also to serve women, and we've done that around the country, and there have been similar states that have done the same thing with laws, like in Texas, with them affirming and approving more funding for their alternatives to abortion program. North Carolina passed some restrictions, but also included additional funding to help women that find themselves in difficult circumstances.
Reverend Nelson, do you think that this could be considered a bellwether for other states looking to pass similar legislation? What happened in South Carolina?
I do. Obviously, we have to look at each state to determine, the balance of power. But I think that there is a strong move that we've seen in Human Coalition for states to restrict abortion, but also to increase funding and to find support for women who find themselves in these difficult circumstances. Over the hundreds of thousands of women that we've engaged with at Human Coalition, we know that 76% of those seeking abortion say that they would choose to parent if their circumstances were different. And so we've tried very hard to engage in multiple states, new states that we're working in, like Florida, also Tennessee, states like Oklahoma, as well as Pennsylvania. I think that there's a lot of hope to see continued restrictions on abortion, but also to help support the women who find themselves in these difficult circumstances.
I want to pivot here. Last week, during the first Republican presidential primary debate, candidates were asked about a federal abortion ban. No consensus was reached by the candidates. But Reverend Nelson, I'm curious, where do you think voters stand on this issue as a whole?
Yeah, well, we know from the polling that most voters in America, whether they're Republican, Independent, or Democrat, support some kind of restrictions on abortion. And so our team was excited to see Vice President Pence, Tim Scott, and a handful of others to affirm that there should be some level of federal protections. They particularly were talking about a 15-week ban, which again, I think up to 70% of Americans would support that based on the polling. I think that the most important thing is, as we enter into this election cycle, is for our side, pro-lifers and people of good conscience, to be informed about what the positions are. I think that sometimes it gets lost in the messaging and in the debates, but I believe that those type of restrictions at the federal level should be a floor for a national discussion on a moral issue like abortion.
We have about 30 seconds left or so, but talk to us about Human Coalition and what you all are working on right now.
Certainly. Human Coalition is a nonprofit organization. We say our mission really simply is to make abortion unthinkable and unnecessary. And we, in the recent years, have done a great job of partnering with states not just to restrict abortion, but also to find funding to help women who find themselves in these difficult circumstances. As I stated earlier, 76% of women who are seeking abortion say they would choose to parent if their circumstances were different. And so we'll continue those efforts across the country, working with pregnancy centers and other organizations and states to find ways to protect preborn children, but also to serve women who find themselves in these circumstances.
Reverend Nelson, thank you so much for everything you do. Thanks for being with us. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you so very much.